We're going to start opening up, but we've got a few more. So we'll just give it a couple of minutes while people are coming along. People are just asking for connections now, so I'm just letting them in. So those of you that are already online, just bear with us for a few minutes while we wait for other people to join us. Heather and I are excited for day 3 today, and we're really looking forward to covering the material we've got today for you. And of course, we've got a prize to give out as well for those of you who've been getting involved again. And then we've got some exciting stuff to tell you about at the end as well. We've got some really good, great stuff coming up. But we'll just give it a minute or two to see if there's any more people want to join us. And then we will get going. So, Heather, how's your day been up in Scotland today?
My day's been absolutely very, very productive, Neil. I've been coaching most of today. One of the students has purchased a property. Another one's dealing with a sourcing agent. Another one was dealing with the middle of a refinance, and the other one actually got some angel funding. So one of the topics we're going to be speaking about tonight. So absolute super day up in Scotland.
Awesome. Oh, fabulous. Brilliant. That's great news. I've been trying to do something clever with a property today, trying to get access to the property before we've actually bought it, start doing some work on it. So that's one of the strategies that we could talk about at another time. But yeah, so all right, I think we've got quite a few people on now, so we can probably get going. We'll just go through again what we're going to be talking about today. So first of all, before we get started, we will have another voucher to give out, and we've got another £20 Amazon voucher that we're going to give to somebody that Heather and I think have been contributing the most. We've got some really exciting stuff to tell you about at the end, because we've got some stuff we're going to do as well, which we're a little bit we're going to keep to the end and tell you, because it's exciting, it's good fun. But today we're going to talk about predominantly about buying without much money, or different ways that you can get involved with buying property without too much of your own money, which could be for you guys that are in certain situations that maybe have adverse credit and need to build a portfolio. But most of the time we do teach to try and use other people's money as much as you can. You know, ideally you want to keep your own money for your own things and to do your own stuff. But if you can use other people's money, that's what we're going to do. So today, Heather, we have got to give out a prize. We sent out the prize yesterday to, I think it was Lucy in the end. I think Lucy got the voucher. So she said a big thank you. So Lucy, well done. We have had guys, you know, really chatting away in the Facebook really well. So do you want me to tell them, Heather, who we're going to give it to, or you?
Yes, I think you should. Do the honours for us, please.
Okay.
You can.
So we, again, consistently the last couple of days, we've had lots of people chatting and lots of communication going on. And the person we want to give the voucher to tonight, and this doesn't mean anything against anyone else who hasn't been chatting, please. It's just because we saw some good questions and some good interaction there, was from Beata. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Beata Stepinska. There she is, waving, yeah. Okay, so well done. Beata, if you Facebook message me your email address, we'll get the email, Nikki will get the email voucher sent over to you tonight or tomorrow. And later on tonight, we've got another prize to give out, which we really want to, I'm going to keep that back because that's a nice prize, a really nice prize. And not that the £20 voucher isn't a nice prize, we've got something else to offer you guys later on, which we're quite excited about. So today we are going to talk about ways to finance deals, find deals, maybe not using your own money or much of your own money. Excuse me. So Heather, you're on your first one. You're going to talk about angel finance.
Yeah, one that I really like, and it's one that I've had to use a few times in my own career path as well. So angel finance can be something like today, the bank are giving it 0 to 2%. Okay, but I needed £25,000. So what I did was I went out with a document and I asked 1 or 2 people if they would support my business. And yes, I got the £25,000 I was looking for. On return of that, I gave them a return of 7% of their money. So what did that mean for them? Yeah, they got a return of 7%. So they actually earned in a year £1,750 from it. Now, when we speak about angel finance, there is a document at the back end of that. Okay, so we do go through and we do call it a loan agreement. So when I borrowed this money, what I did was I went with a loan agreement. It was signed with a solicitor and it was fair for both of us. So then money was lying in the bank, absolutely doing nothing. I explained what I was using it for. They were fully on board and they got the 7%. they didn't want their interest every single month. That was their choice. They wanted it rolled up at the end of the year. And ever since then, I've still got that Angel. And at Christmas time, he always says, pay me back on the 1st of December, Heather, because that's my Christmas money for my family. And that's how I worked my Angels. So Angels are a great way to start. So basically, look at people round about you that have some funds in the bank, get no interest from it at all. Can you help them the way I helped them? And that was one of the reasons I started in property. So it's a great tool, and it's a great way if you understand it and you take the education to find out the right way of doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Heather. And it's quite a lot to it, isn't it? It's quite involved.
Yes.
It's not, you know, a lot of people, there'll be loads of questions I know out there, and we'll tell you about what we're going to do about questions and answers later, but there'll be lots of questions, and it takes a little while to get it right, but we'll show you how to do that, and we'll certainly teach you how to do that. So the next one on our list is the one I'm going to talk about is vendor finance. So some of you may have come across this term before, vendor finance, and that's where the actual seller will finance part of the deal. So that's an interesting one. That's fabulous, and that's used an awful lot. I'm have a couple of offers out there at the moment. I have one out on a commercial unit, which is effectively what we're saying to the seller. And there's various reasons why they might do this and they might not do this. And these are things that we can explain to you later, that reasons why someone might do this and why they might not do it. But effectively, I've gone along to a particular commercial property, and I've said to the commercial seller, the person who's selling it, that look, if I buy the property from you at a certain price, I've got to find a deposit. Now, when you go down the route of commercial, you tend to have to find a little bit more deposit. So commercial lenders, they tend to want to lend around about the 60 to 70% mark. So 60, 65%, not the 75, 80% mark that we talk about on buy to let an awful lot. So really, you have to find a bigger deposit. So what we try and do is we try and convince the seller, the commercial seller, to help us with that deposit. So it's basically they are going to defer the paying that, for want of, I'm just trying to use ways that we're trying to explain it best, defer us paying that deposit for a longer period of time. So we might buy the property today, but they will then say, okay, well, you can pay us back the deposit maybe over 5 years or 10 years, and we can pay that back out of the rent. So there are ways that's called vendor finance. So convincing or explaining to a vendor or a commercial seller, a lot of the time, doesn't always mean commercial sellers. We have clients that have done it with people that have got buy-to-lets, HMOs, any kind of property. But basically, it's just letting them, if they don't need all the funds straight away for what you're buying the property with, they might lend it back to you, and they'll lend it back to you an interest rate. So a bit like angel financing that Heather said originally, but they become the angel of their own property that they're selling to you. So a little bit exciting, a little bit tricky maybe, but we do this kind of things all the time, and we've been teaching this for years. Okay, so another form that Heather's going to talk about is bridging loans.
Yeah, well, fun enough, today I was sitting with a client today, and we were actually in a mortgage office, and the lady I'm working with, she has 2 buy-to-lets, but she wanted to raise her game to buy this old-fashioned house, and her figures were pretty high, but she says, Heather, I just don't get my head around bridging money. She says, and I've phoned up 3 companies today, and I'm total bombarded with it all. So I sat and I explained it to her. I says, give me a minute and I'll phone someone in our power team, a company that we've been working with for a long time, and let's see what the fees that they give us and how it works. I explained it all to her. So basically what the bridging company would do was they will give her this money on a short-term loan. So she needed 75% of this purchase, but she needed it ASAP. So we phoned them, they give us their fees, we put the fees into the deal. Okay, but the strange thing was she needed another £20,000 for the refurb. And while we're sitting there, the guy Jason that was doing the mortgages, he says, I'll give you the money under Angel documents, as Heather's just explained, for your refurbs on this 8% return. So by the time I had left the office, she's spoken to the bridging company that we work alongside. She's now got a bridge money in place. She's now got a renovation money in place. She understands the bridge fees will be a little bit more expensive. But as I said, we don't count the money when we're digging for the gold. And that's exactly what she's done. So she's actually sealed the deal on a bridge understand that there is a little bit more expense, but if she didn't have the bridge, okay, she wouldn't have the deal. So the bridge is a really, really good, useful tool, depending on what you're buying and how you're buying it. And again, the bridge money is not about her credit at all or anything about it. The bridge company is only interested in the bricks and mortar of the building that she's buying, and that's where she had a blockage. So she's absolutely over the moon. So bridge money is a really good way if you're having to go in there and say, I want to purchase a property within 24 hours, cash buy. How do I sort it? So yes, she's awesome.
Fabulous. Great news. There is a question coming from Owen or Owen, I'm not sure how we pronounce that. I know it's a Welsh name, which I'll try. We won't be able to answer many questions, but that very quick question you've asked there, yep. Owen, is what's the arrangement fee on the bridge? Well, they're different. Every lender does different amounts. So we use a great broker, and part of our coaching and programming is you get access to all of that team. So our brokers will talk about various bridging and go to various suppliers for you and find the best deal for you. We're not financial advisors. We can't give you financial advice, but we can put you in touch with really good people that are.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was bridging. And here's another one, pensions. Now, pensions are, some of you may have had jobs or have jobs with companies that have really good pensions, have pension schemes out there that have money in there. And some people have been saying to you, whatever you do, don't touch that money because it's in a great final pension scheme and all these kind of things. But actually, sometimes if you're doing it right, in fact, most of the time, if you're doing it right, you can probably do better than the pension scheme is doing. The interest they're getting, Heather touched on at the moment, banks are doing rubbish. Pension schemes at the moment, stocks and shares are pretty down at the moment, and a lot of pensions invest in stocks and shares. So actually a pension fund, if you have a reasonable pension fund, can be used for you. Now we have a coaching client who has a substantial pension, and what he's doing is he's going to draw out that pension in a certain way. You can do it in a certain way. And again, we're not financial advisors. We can only tell you what we've done or what our clients have done and give you an indication of what can be done. And we draw that money out and use that for your property investment. Now, there's lots of rules around pensions and there's lots of things you can and can't do. But there's also lots of people that have misconceptions about what you can do with pensions. And there is a lot of misguidance, let's say, and people saying, don't touch it because you can get into trouble. Well, you know, there are certain things you can do, and we would always suggest you don't use all of your pension. We always say that you use some of your pension and use it in a wise way and use these people. Whenever you start investing with your pension money, there are certain restrictions and certain protection you have to have in place. Otherwise, you will get into trouble. And it's regulated. So you will have to have somebody to regulate that to make sure you're doing the right things. But pensions are a great opportunity. And if you've got pension money sitting around doing nothing, it's always worth going to your pension providers and say, what am I getting in my pension at the moment? What interest rate did I get this year? What's it looking like? And seeing, you know, if they're coming back with 3 or 4%, is it really doing such a great job for you? You know, Heather and I can probably get you 5 and 6% like that. You know, Heather's just talked to me very quickly about, you know, angel financing at some point. You know, being an angel for a start, you could be your own angel from your pension. So actually, your pension could angel you some money, and you can pay your pension back a certain amount of money, but a low interest rate. But it could be better than what the pension's already getting. So let's say your pension's getting 2 or 3%, you could pay your pension 5%, and your pension is still funding your purchasing. So some really good stuff there. So what else? Oh, what about credit cards, Heather? Is there a way to do it with credit cards?
Yes, and I was one of these people that did it with a credit card. So what I actually did was I was running short of a deposit, and I was taught by my coaches on how to do it. So what I done, I had transferred from the credit card into my bank account at 0%. Okay, so I used the money from my credit card and I put it towards a deposit. I also have another credit card just now on a 0% balance that I use all that money on that when I do a refurb. So I actually don't pay any of my own money when I do my refurbs. And when I look at the bank rates, I do look at it and say, can I transfer from the credit card into my bank account? How long is it going to take me? What's the fees? And if it's worth it, yes, I will do it. So credit cards are a fantastic tool. I actually have a credit card for everything that involves in property. So I have a card that works for my legals. I have a card for my sourcing agent. I have a card for my renovations. Okay, and that is how I worked my credit card. So anyone out there that was frightened to using credit cards, come and speak to me, because it was the only way I could actually start building my business.
Oh, fabulous. And what's one of the best things with a credit card is a lot of credit cards have loyalty points or loyalties back again. We certainly know a lot of people that, well, maybe not such a great idea right now with BA and Air Miles. There was we knew some
Yeah.
people that used to use BA and Air Miles all the time, and they get free flights to America as a result. So if you're doing your refurbs and things and you're using that, I used to use and still do use the Tesco used to do a credit card where you get points back, and those points I used to love because I could use it for going to the cinema. You get vouchers for food for going out if you're going to places like that. There are lots of different cards that have lots of, some have cashback. So using a credit card that way as well, and using it in a controlled way, using it, paying it off, or using it and having a way to pay it off is important. So Heather said, you know, we borrowed money. Heather and I have borrowed money. I think I've got credit cards now where I could probably get something like £50,000 off of credit cards at the moment. But I wouldn't just take that off unless I had a way of paying that back. And it was got to be important that I've got a plan to do that. So again, we're telling you ways to do it, but we're not saying go out and do that without getting some good education or learning how to do it properly, or having someone helping you, holding your hand. The next one on the list I've got is lease options. Some of you may have already done a lot of reading and a lot of online learning about these kind of things, lease options. There's lots of information out there about it, lots of people talking about it. And lease options are a very, very powerful way to get involved in property with very, very low amount of your money. So for example, anybody who's been around for a while and knows about the O2 in Greenwich in London, that particular building was sold, if you saw the headlines, was sold for £1. Now, how can you sell a building for £1 that's that big with that kind of amount of security around it and things? Well, it was actually an option to buy it for £1. What the company that did was they took on all the debts that were on there. Now, there was a lot of debt. The company that were running it at a loss. They were losing money. They had debtors, they had people, creditors that were after them for the money that they owed them for supplies and all that kind of thing. So somebody came along and said, I will take all of that on and I will give you £1 for that so that I can do my own thing to create some kind of income, generate some income to be able to pay you the amount of money that we agreed to pay you later on. So an option is really, really powerful. I know at the moment there's all the American elections going on, and Donald Trump is one of the guys there. Well, Donald Trump is one of the top 3 people in the world that uses lease options to get to his wealth. Now, before he became president, he was a big property investor, very, very big in this sort of thing, and lease options was one of his majority strategies. The hotel he bought in New York, his first big hotel that everyone talks about, that was bought on a lease option. And so, you know, it also stops you from having to have any kind of restrictions about what you can and can't do. Options are very, very flexible, very powerful. So you can go and take over a property for a very small amount of money. Let's say like the OT for £1 is your. So what it is you have a contract with them, and any contract has to have a value. Otherwise, it's not legal. Used to be back in the day, used peppercorn. They called it a peppercorn. You could do it because when peppercorns first came into the UK, they were, years back when they came in the boats with Queen Victoria, peppercorns were really, really sought after, really expensive, and that you could actually buy things with peppercorns. So they used, and that's where the term peppercorn rent comes from, or peppercorns comes from. So you put down a very small amount of money. You would have to have some kind of legals done, obviously. So there is a cost with the legals. So you might spend a little bit of money getting a legal solicitor to draw up a contract for you and get it right for you. Again, we have people that you can use for that. And you would then go ahead and get this. So it might cost you, I don't know, on average between about £500 to £1,000, maybe slightly more if you pay for the buyer's solicitors as well, because you might offer to pay for them as well. So you might be into buying a house for a couple of £1,000. Well, that's not bad, is it really? So, and it's then going to generate you enough income to go and buy it later on. So lease options is, again, another really powerful option. And then the last one on our list that we wanted to talk about tonight, which Heather's going to talk about, is JVs, or joint ventures.
Yeah, so let me tell a little story. I've got 2 students in Aberdeen, and both of them had paid for their education. So they had grown their portfolios, really, really successful. But the power team that were working behind, and that would be the builders, they were quite curious of how they were doing this, because they were actually earning more money than they were doing working on the tools, basically. And the guys came to me and they says, Heather, how would this work if we wanted to do a joint venture with them? So we sat down and I worked out that they could do a joint venture with them. The guys with the building team had the money and these two guys had the education. So what happened there was the building guys gave them all the deposits and all the refurbs. Okay. And my two guys found the deal. So they got a source agent involved and they found the deals. And what they did was they opened up a joint venture account, a joint venture bank account, a joint venture business, and everything was done legal. It was all done through the accountants and through the lawyers and everything. And now they've excelled into doing a fifth joint venture building in Aberdeen, and they're going from strength to strength. Now, the reason they're going from strength to strength in a joint venture is one had the education brain and the other one had the tool brain. So anyone out there that is either got the money in the bank but has no education, join up with someone and ask them, could they joint venture with you? If that's the only way you can step onto the property ladder. And it's amazing the amount of people that I'm seeing now on the tools that are worried that they haven't used their pension, as Neil's just hit on and told you. Okay, we're doing with the COVID virus and they're thinking, I don't have the time to do the education. I only know my tools. Tap into these people and ask them, if that's the only way you can go into the property market, then a joint venture with someone who's got the education behind them. So great little tool, joint ventures. I love it.
Absolutely. And exactly what Heather says there. The big thing that Heather touched on there, really, the big point for me is that when you joint venture with somebody, they have to bring different set of tools to the table. There is no point in joint venture with somebody. If, let's say, for example, Heather and I were to joint venture in a project and we're both just bringing the money to it, but neither of us has the skill set. So what's the point? You know, we're both throwing the money in, but we're sitting there thinking, well, we're not really sure what we're doing. We're having a go at this. However, if Heather had the skill set and I had the money, then we're actually complementing each other. And there's a big thing about mastermind groups. If you put people together that have got different sets and work together, you're like doubling the number of people that are actually the brain capacity going on there. So Heather's got the skill set, I've put the money in, and then we're both very clear about what we're going to get from that project. That's a really important thing too. Be clear about who's getting what. We work a lot with our students about getting contracts set up between the joint ventures. It's very easy for you to get excited and say, oh, look, we're buying a house. That's great. I've got this money. Yeah, and you're excited about it. You buy a house. But what happens if something goes wrong? What happens if, life happens? COVID happened. Somebody passes away. Somebody walks under a bus. If somebody passes away, what happens to their part of the joint venture? What happens to that money? Does that money go to Heather? So if it's me and Heather and suddenly I pass away, do I just say, Heather, fine, it's yours? Or do I say, no, I want my children to have my share? So, but you're responsible for it until we get to the end of that fruition of what we agreed in the agreement, which might be a 2, 3, 5 year deal, a joint venture. But I want Heather to carry on and then give my share back to my children. Or I might just say, you know what, give it to Battersea Dogs Home or something like that. But I've got to be aware, and you've got to think about these things up front. So we've covered quite a few there. I'm not sure how many we've got there. We've covered angel finance, we've covered vendor finance, bridging loans, pensions, credit cards, lease options, and joint ventures. There's a lot of ways that you can. There are more, and there are more creative ways. There are lots of creative things that we can do and talk about all day long. I love this subject. Heather loves this subject. This is the fun bit of property investing for me, is how you find the deal, how you finance it, how you work with other people. Absolutely love what we're doing now. Because we've had such a great time and because we've had so much fun, Heather and I have offered also on the Facebook group to do a little bit of a Q&A session with you guys, because we know we do want to, we're going to do another session effectively, but one, we can't do it tomorrow. We're going to do it Friday at the same time, 6:30, if you want to get on board. We're going to do a bit of question and answer. We might touch a little bit on sourcing as well, because I know Owen or Oian is really, really keen to ask questions about sourcing, but we will answer a little bit about that for you, Owen, and we don't want to make the whole thing about that, but we'll also have some questions and answers if you have them for us. We might be able to do a little bit longer, maybe sort of 30 to 60 minutes on that session on Friday from 6:30, if you've got questions. But on also on that session, we're going to offer a little prize or from again tonight. Those of you that get involved and get talking and communicating on the Facebook group and then we're going to offer you a free consultation period with myself and Heather. Again, we'll do a one-to-one, or either Heather and I to you and your business partner or your we'll call them business partner or bed partner. Okay, so whoever it is that you're with at the time, we'll do a consultation with you for about an hour there, 30 minutes to 1 hour, to see what your strategy is, try and help you and give you some pointers. But as well as all of that stuff that we're excited about, we're also wanting you to join our inaugural Facebook group. We're really excited. Heather and I set up this business, ICaN. Now, we've been teaching and training for 7 or 8 years now for another company. And we've actually been working for them and contracting for them for 7 or 8 years, both of us. But now we want to stand on our own values, and we've decided to promote and bring ICaN. ICaN is our baby. We brought it to you, and we have certain values that we want to give out to you guys and to support you. And we're going to stand on our own 2 feet with that. And we'd like you to get involved and get on board with that, and come and find out how you can make a difference to your family and to your lives by investing in property. 12 weeks is what we were talking about as a group, as a kind of a training program, how you can do something to make a difference in your life and change your life around, especially in current. And we have a website, Heather, can you remember what the website is?
No,
ICaN,
you got it down. It was
yeah.
homework.
It's ICaN Training / Foundations with an S on the end. So ICaN Training / Foundations, and that'll point you to the right place to go. So go and join there. Go and join that group. We will be jumping on there. Gretchen's just posted it as well. Thank you, Gretchen.
Yeah.
We will get on that Facebook with you, and we will interact with you, and we will teach you. We will actually teach you how to do this. Hold your hands. We'll help. A lot of you might need a little bit of pushing outside of your comfort zone, doing things you've not done before, maybe a little bit weird, a little bit difficult. Certainly this for me and Heather, we're stepping outside of our comfort zone by doing these kind of online videos with you guys. This is all new for us. We've taught for years and years and years, but most of it's been face to face or in a classroom. All this is new for us, so we're learning this, and we're just trying to make sure it's all perfect for you guys. So Heather, have I covered everything we wanted to cover tonight?
Yeah, I think we have. I think it's just a case of come on board. We will hold your hand. We will teach you everything that Neil and I have learned over 30 years. And we just want to give it back to you, because I had that opportunity through my mentors and my coaches away at the very beginning, and I gave it back to my family. And this is all about family for you, and where you want to be in the next 3 months of your life through Christmas, New Year, set new goals for 2021. This is exactly where you should be. We just want to help and support you as much as we possibly can. So yes, as Neil says, find us on ICaN Training at Foundations. Absolutely.
So come and join us at Foundations. Join up, take action, get out there, make a difference in your life. We will definitely give you those people that are getting most involved. We'll pick someone to do a one-to-one consultation with them. And on Friday, we're going to do some questions and answers and a little bit on sourcing for you, Owen, okay? So it's great to see you all. We've had a great 3 days. We look forward to seeing you on Friday, not tomorrow, Friday at 6:30 for a questions and answer and the sourcing. And go and join the group. Go and join the Foundations group. Go on the Facebook page. Get involved. Do something every day is going to get you there. And we'll see you soon.
Take care.